ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत नः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं दर्शनीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यं ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवीव चक्षुषा ततम्। ॐ हरे राम कृष्ण हरे राम कृष्ण हरे राम कृष्ण। Welcome back to Kiran. Any questions so far? Yes.
I was just asking you if based on my chart, if I want to see the Muhurta for today.
What for today?
The Muhurta. Like, is it a good day to start something? So I see the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see based on this program, how do I track that?
Program does not tell you whether today is a good day or bad day. It just gives you the parameters that are needed to make a determination of whether it's a good day or bad day. Okay. And you have to basically do it yourself. And secondly, it's not that a particular day is good day, a particular day is bad day. It depends on for what purpose. If you are looking for a muhurta for example, Griha Pravesh, or a muhurta for starting some kind of sadhana, for both, it's not necessary that the same muhurta should be good for both. I will not do muhurtas for now, we will do them later, but you can read a book called Muhurtha, Electional Astrology. It's a book written by Dr. B.V. Raman. It's one of the best books on Muhurta. And even in my book there is a small section. But that book is a specialized book on Muhurta. And there are some nakshatras that are considered auspicious. Apart from being a good tara for you, each star, have we covered the Navataras before? We didn't. Okay, I will briefly cover that. There are some stars that are considered good and some stars that are considered bad for each person. On top of them, inherently certain stars are considered good for certain kind of activities. For example, Anuradha is a good star for most purposes. But Moola is not really a great star for several purposes. Like that, several stars, several nakshatras are considered good and bad. Similarly, several tithis are considered good and bad. So again, that depends on for what purpose. Some tithis are good for some purposes but bad for some other purposes. So usually when we choose a muhurta, we choose a good tithi for that particular purpose, good nakshatra which is good for that particular purpose, as well as good based on your chart. It's a good tara for you. And then people also consider there are 3 other panchanga elements. There are 5 elements in the panchanga: tithi, varam, nakshatram, yogam and karanam. These are the 5 elements. And like I mentioned earlier, tithi is jalatattva. It is jalarupam. It shows prosperity, well-being. Prosperity and well-being are of watery nature. And tithi is important. Tithi is important for them, the strength of tithi. And vara is of agni tattva, fiery nature. And that shows vitality, the longevity. Because fire is basically the life force within us. The life force within us is basically fire. So that shows the life force within the activity that you started. If the Varbala is not good, and how do you see the Varbala? See the Lord of the Vara. Suppose somebody started something on Tuesday. So the Varesha is Mars. See how strong Mars is in the chart. Suppose somebody did something on Tuesday and in the Muhurta, let's say Virgo is the Lagna and Mars is in Pisces. Suppose Virgo Lagna was chosen for the activity and Mars is then the 8th Lord in the 7th house, Aries Lord in Pisces. So 8th Lord in the 7th house, which shows short life. So if somebody does on Tuesday with such a muhurta, it's very likely that whatever he started will end very soon. It will not last for a long time. Of course, if somebody wants it to not last for a long time, he may intentionally choose that muhurta. but bottom line is, because the Varesha's weakness, it will not be a long venture. On the other hand, if Varesha is strong, let us say he is in a trine or quadrant from Lagna, then that particular venture will have a long lasting effect. So you see the longevity and the vitality in the Vara, Agni-tattva, and then Karna is of Ati nature, Bhutattva. And again there are some Karnas that are considered auspicious and some Karnas that are considered inauspicious. In all these 5 categories, 5 elements, some are considered good, some are considered bad. So when people choose a muhurta, they choose a muhurta for which the karna, the tithi, the vara, the yoga, the nakshatra are inherently auspicious. And then on top of it, we have to look at the lord of that particular element and see how he is in the chart. Because a karna, for example, Garija karna, it is ruled by Jupiter. In general, it is considered a good karna. So somebody may choose a muhurta in Garija karna, but if Jupiter is badly placed, suppose he is in Manakaraka sthana in that particular muhurta, then even though it's an auspicious karna, because the karna lord is not auspiciously placed, karna is basically weak. The karna bala will become weak in the chart. And as a result of it, there may not, whatever he set out to achieve may not be achieved. It may be long lasting, but still the actual achievement that he wanted to do, the person wanted to do, may not be done. Ati nature or Bhutattva shows the actual achievement, the accomplishment, what you do, what you get achieved, what the solid thing. Basically, Ati is the solid element. And that shows what is on the ground, what you have done. So if you have a particular goal, you want to achieve that goal, you want to make sure that you leave something behind as a result of that muhurta, the karna is very important. You have to make sure that karna lord is well placed. And let's say karna lord is well placed, but tithi lord is badly placed. Then you may achieve what you want to achieve, but there may be some uneasiness. You may not have the sense of prosperity or sense of well-being. There may be a lot of discomfort on the way. Ideally, all the 5 elements are supposed to be well placed, but it is really impossible. It's very, very difficult to find the perfect muhurta where all the 5 elements are inherently good and also good in the chart, and also good based on your own chart. That is very, very difficult. Even if Brihaspati comes, he can't find such muhurta every day. So if somebody comes and says, I want a muhurta in the next 2 months, give me a muhurta for Brihaspati, you have to basically decide this is important, this is less important, and then based on it, choose the muhurta. And what are the elements we left out? Nakshatra yoga. Nakshatra yoga. Yoga is of Akasha Tattva, ethery nature. So yoga shows, like ether, it shows what is binding everything together. Akasha is not something that you can clearly perceive. Who you can perceive. This computer, for example, is Bhutattva. Any solid material is Bhutattva. Although when I am talking about my feelings, my existence, the Bhu there is slightly different. It is basically something solid. Whether you are talking about physical body or emotions or Atma, whatever you are talking about, any creation is of one of these 5 natures. So, but still, because there are some physical corollaries, physical corresponding elements, examples using which you can understand what is Bhu, what is Jala, what is Vayu, what is Agni, you can get some intuitive feeling of what those 4 elements mean. But when it comes to Akasha, it is so tough to perceive because it is basically nothingness. Akasha is nothing. It is not it is not something that has a specific form. It has no form. It takes the form of whatever it fills. It fills various things. And it is that element which is keeping the other 4 elements together. Otherwise, the Bhu, for example, you take something, if this phone, there is some fire in it, there is some water in it, there is some earth in it, everything is being bound together by the Akasha. And similarly, when it comes to our emotions also, when it comes to various existential parameters, everything exists by means of these 5 elements, and it is Akasha which binds everything together. So because of that, yoga is very important for seeing what binds everything together, what prevents things from falling apart. So the strength of the yoga is very important for relationships between various people who are holding that organization together. If you have an organization, it is basically that organization is held together by various people and various forces. And even if you are not talking about an organization that has various people involved, even if you are talking about something that you are doing, let's say your new job or something, still there are so many forces that are pulling it in different directions. And all those forces have to be kept in unison so that the venture is continuing. When you are working, for example, when you are doing a job, there may be a part of you that tells you, why all this work, renounce everything and go to Himalayas. Or there may be a part of you that tells, you are concentrating too much on work, concentrate on home, family. Or there may be a part of you that tells, you are not doing well at work, you have to work even harder and you have to do better than other people at work. So there are so many different forces. When I say different forces that are impacting each venture, I don't necessarily mean people who are influencing an organization. Even within a single person, there are so many forces that are pulling in different directions. And whenever you start a particular venture, that particular venture is being pulled in different directions by forces within you. And how all these forces act together so that the venture that you started, so that the task that you embarked upon happens in a nice way, so that it doesn't fall apart. So it is yoga that ensures that. So the strength of the yoga is important to ensure that things just don't fall apart. And also, if you are talking about a lot of people, to make sure that all the people are working in harmony. So Akasha shows that harmony, that's the synergy between various forces. And finally, Vayu. What is Vayu? Strength. Vayu is the strength. And also when Vayu becomes too strong, it can also result in destruction. So Vayu Tattva shows strength and utilization of strength. Or on the other hand, it can show weakness and not having strength. So the Vayu Tattva nakshatra is very important for if you are weak, if you don't have the necessary strength to do that particular task that you started at the time of that muhurta, to get the strength, to remove the weakness. Or if you are already strong, you may do something bad and the strength may go away. So all those things are shown by nakshatra. It shows weakness and strength. So that is one thing. And the second thing is, I told you that there are certain karanas that are considered good and some are considered bad. Some things that are considered good, some are considered bad for certain activities. Some nakshatras that are considered good and some considered bad for certain activities. All these some of these you can get from my book, from the chapter on Muhurtha. And most of these things you can get from Muhurtha book that I mentioned, Dr. Raman's book. So you can read that book and get those standard lists. And those of you, I don't know about other states, but those of you who are from Andhra, if you take any panchangam that comes from Andhra, they have a summary in one page. There is a one-page nice summary of all the things that I mentioned. Everything that you can find in the Muhurta books, you will find a summary in the panchanga. So that can be a handy reference. But I will not cover those things. You can refer the standard books and find those. But I will mention the taras. Yeah. Almost impossible, yes.
So, is it a priority list based on past history?
Yes, that is up to you, depending on your priority. Suppose you are weak and you are not healthy, and you are taking a particular medicine for the first time. Some Ayurvedic doctor came and told you, take this medicine if you cure your problems, your breathing problems, let us say. And you want to start that particular medicine. And what is the main criterion there? What is the most important thing? Again, depending on different people's perspectives, the answers may be different. But you have to make a decision. Is the vitality and longevity most important thing here? Or gaining strength and removing weakness most important thing here? Somebody may say, I don't want to take this medicine for too long. So Vara is not that important to me. I just want to gauge my strength. So nakshatra is the most important thing for me. You may go for nakshatra. And somebody, at the same time, yoga is also very important when you are taking medicine, because When you take a medicine, the medicine has certain forces that want, those forces are acting to make you feel better. But there are also forces within you that are trying to make you weak. This is why you got the onset of disease. So, all these forces have to be reconciled and they have to be harmonized so that the forces that are coming in because of the medicine are integrated with the forces that are acting within you. There may be some forces within you which want you to feel better. So those forces will be integrated with the forces within you. And then when the integration is complete, the medicine will be able to work the best on you. So for that, yoga is most important. So you can say that nakshatra and yoga are probably more important than other things. You want to feel good, so he is also important. So you can't say that others are not important. You need all the elements. But for that particular thing, the immediate thing is the medicine has to be assimilated into your body and it has to do a good job of giving you strength. First it has to be effective, which means yoga, and then it has to make you feel better, which is nakshatra. So yoga and nakshatra bala is more important in such a case. Whereas let us say somebody is getting married, then what is the goal there? What is the purpose of getting married? What is the main thing? Yeah, first you want the marriage to last a long time. It better last a long time. You don't want it to last for a few days and either the bride or bridegroom to want to take sannyasa. In some cases that may be advisable, but in most cases you want the marriage to last for a very long time. So vara is very important. You want them to be in harmony. So yoga is important. So vara, nakshatra is also important, but the strength, etc., that may come at the end. More than that, harmony between the people, the longevity of the marriage may be more important. And again, the marriage has to result in the birth of some children, those people doing some dharmic activities in the society, then marriage has a meaning. And where does that come from? The accomplishments of the marriage, the result, end result, the solid end result of the marriage. So that is Bhu Tattva. So for that, Karna is important. Like that, if you understand what is the importance of each element in a particular Muhurta, based on what you are starting on that day, you can choose which is more important. And sometimes you will not be able to choose. You have to ask the person. Suppose somebody comes, ask him, do you want to stay in this house for a very long time or a very short time? Somebody may say, I just want to stay in this house for 2 years and then I am going back to India for sure. So this house is only for 2 years, somebody may say. So in that case, you don't care about Vara. In fact, if the Varija is badly placed in such a Muhurta, you may prefer that. So, depending on what the person tells you about what his priorities, what his or her priorities are, based on it you can choose the priority. But again, I'm not suggesting that you can totally mess up with a couple of elements. That's not what I'm suggesting. When I say perfect Muhurta is impossible, I mean perfect based on all criteria. Just choosing an auspicious karna, auspicious yoga, auspicious nakshatra, auspicious tithi, and making sure that the lats are reasonably well placed in the chart. Maybe there are some weaknesses, but not terrible weaknesses. That is possible. You can choose a reasonable Muhurta most of the time. So you should try to do that. Okay? Now, let me take an example. First let us let us see my chart. April 4, 1970, 17:47:13, that is 5:47:13 p.m. Indian Standard Time, Machilipatnam, India, 81 East 12, 16 North 15. Now, in this chart, I will mention about taras. I told you that certain nakshatras are considered auspicious and certain nakshatras are considered inauspicious. I told you that. That is in general for everybody. In addition to that, there are certain nakshatras that are considered good for you and some that are considered bad for you. And that is based on the Navatara Chakra. There is a concept called Navataras. If you click in this particular window, longitudes window, and if you select Navataras from Moon, software gives you from Lagna also, but from Moon is most important. So if you click Navataras from Moon, you will see this list. So there are 9 taras called Janma Tara, Sampat Tara, Vipat Tara, Kshema Tara, Pratyak Tara, Sadhana Tara, Naidhana Tara, Mitra Tara and Paramita Tara. These are the 9 taras. So the 27 nakshatras are divided into 9 groups of 3 nakshatras each. And the way it goes is, starts from the Janmatara. In my case, what was my nakshatra when I was born? We saw it in the previous window. Where is moon? Purvabhadra. You can also see it here. The nakshatra is Purvabhadra. So, it starts from Purvabhadra. My Janmatara is Purvabhadra. And the next nakshatra is Uttarabhadra. That will become Sampattara. The next one is Revati. So that becomes Vipattara. And the next one is, with Revati, you come to the end of the nakshatra chakra. So you go to the next nakshatra, which is go back to the beginning of the zodiac. So Ashwini, that is Kshematara. Dharani is Pratyaktara. Kritika is Sadhanatara. Rohini is Naidhanatara. Mitratara is the next one, Mrigashira. After Mrigashira, Ardra comes. So that is Parvamitratara. And when you finish all the 9, the next Tara will again become Janmatara. So after the Ardra, we get Punarvasu. So again it is Janmatara. You may realize that Purvabhadra and Punarvasu both are ruled by Jupiter. Similarly, Uttarabhadra, Pushimi and Anuradha, these 3 are ruled by Shani. So because we have the 9 planets and we have 9 taras, we basically rotate. So Janmatara is always ruled by all the 3 Janmataras, all the 3 nakshatras that are known as Janmatara are ruled by one planet. All the 3 nakshatras that are known as Sampattara, they are owned by a particular planet. And you can also use this knowledge in the judgment of Vimshottari Dasha. For example, if the Kshematara's Lord's Vimshottari Dasha is running, it is in general considered to be a good period, an auspicious period. And if the Vipattara's Lord's Nakshatra is Vipattara's Lord's Vimshottari Dasha is running, there can be some ill health, etc. So there are some general guidelines based on the taras. So you can pay some attention, but it doesn't work perfectly. But you can pay some attention to that. But the important thing is, when you are doing something important, when you are choosing the muhurta, make sure that you choose a good tara. Can anybody tell me what are good taras here? From the description you can find out. What Janma means birth, Sampattara means the wealth star, Vipattara means danger star, Kshematara means well-being. Kshema means well-being, auspiciousness, well-being star. Pratyaktara means obstructions and obstacle star. Sadhanatara means accomplishment, achievement, success star. Naidhanatara means death star. And Mitratara is friendly star. Paramamitratara means very friendly star. So the names are very self-explanatory.
If you do the death, so what is it telling us that these stars are there? So if suppose that Dasha is running as a Vimshottari.
In general, that's not considered a good Dasha. The person can, the Naidhanatara Dasha. Yeah.
What about Janma? I mean, the others are self-explanatory, but Janma is also bad, right?
Janma is considered good for certain aspects and bad for certain aspects. And in general, for most things, it is considered bad. It is basically like a birth-like situation. It is good if you are doing something like a puja or something.
If it is starting something new, isn't it Janmatara good for it?
It may be, but usually people avoid it. By tradition, I don't have any clear view or opinion to recommend to you on Janmatara. Traditional view of people back from India is, it is bad except for a few specific things. And again, if you read the book that I mentioned, Muhurtha by Dr. B.V. Raman, you will find his views on this as culled out from classics. But it is a little bit ambiguous, and I haven't really done a lot of experimentation with trying different things in Janmatara. So I don't really have any views to tell you. But in general, if you are doing something, I'll take your question, but in general, if you are taking something relating to money, finances, etc., you better choose Sampattara. If you are doing something relating to your health or your well-being, taking medicines, etc., Kshematara is very auspicious. If you want to do something like join a job or start a company or something relating to some kind of achievement, you want success in some aspect of your life, Sadhanatara is very important. It is very good. And in general, Mitra and Paramitra are good for most things. So in general, those are the guidelines. And in general, avoid Pratyaktara, avoid Vipattara, and definitely avoid Naidhanatara. Among all the taras, Naidhanatara is the most dangerous nakshatra. Even though danger is in the name of another tara, that is the most dangerous thing to happen. So Don't do anything in Nidhantara unless you know what you're doing and you want that.
So this Hora is related to when we do this Muhurtha.
When you do the Muhurta, see where moon is. And suppose I am doing something when moon is in Ashwini Nakshatra. Suppose I start taking a medicine when moon is in Ashwini. Is it good or bad for me?
Good.
Ashwini is Shematara. So it is good for me. Yes.
Should we relate this with the Antardasa or how to do it? Totally different.
Actually, what I mentioned about Dasha and Antardasa, just forget.
Oh, okay.
Just when you choose a Muhurta, see where moon is at the time of Muhurta and see which Tara it is from your Janma Chandra, from your natal moon. And see if it is a good Tara or bad Tara. And whenever possible, try to choose a good Tara. Yes.
One thing is for active stock trading.
Yeah?
Because every hour is ruled by a different Hora.
Yeah.
And the corresponding planet, because ultimately each nakshatra is ruled by a different planet.
Yeah.
So depending upon that planet's our Hora on that day, can that be chosen as a good time?
You can experiment. You can every day you choose that Hora and invest $1,000 and tell me what happens afterwards. I don't really have any views on that.
So you're saying look at this independently of Dasha and Mahana.
Yes.
Don't correlate.
Yes.
When you see Muhurtha for a marriage,
Yeah.
what is important? Like you take the bride's horoscope and the groom's horoscope,
Yeah.
father and mother, and which is the one which you
Who are getting married?
bride and
So they are the most important. And again, if the bride nakshatra and bridegroom nakshatra are such, for example, they may be consecutive nakshatra. One may be Purvabhadra, one may be Uttarabhadra. In that case, if you try to find a good Tara for both, what is Sampattara for one will be Vipattara for the other. What is Vipattara for the other will be Kshamatara for the other. What is Kshama for the other will be Pratyaktara. So of course there is Mitra and Paramitra. So for any given two stars, there are some stars that are auspicious for both. But your choice becomes very narrow when you do that. So sometimes you have to live with good Tara for one of them, bad Tara for the other. Depends on who is consulting you. Yeah, preference should be given to those people. Or if you see, more than that, seriously, joking apart, if you see that one of the charts is actually a little weak, if you see one chart shows excellent marriage, there are no problems. And in the other chart you see some weakness, relatively. Then give more importance to that person. When you choose a good Tara, boost that person, so that they are at the same level, so that you get a balance. So basically, all this is about balance. When you choose Muhurtas, etc., it's basically the balancing act. Because, like I said, there's nothing that's called perfect Muhurta. It comes maybe once every few yugas. So, for example, if you read the Panchangas, there are so many bad combinations that are given. This should be avoided, this should be avoided. And sometimes we have no choice but to go with one of them. So, whatever I said, the purity of the 5 Panchanga elements is basically the basic. There are so many other considerations that go into the choice of a Muhurta. So, bottom line is, do the best job that you can do. Do as much balancing as you can do. And then the rest is up to God. We are trying to help. We are not trying to fix everything. We are just trying to help everything.
why don't we use Abhijit Muhurta for everything?
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. Some people believe that if you do it in Abhijit Muhurta, then all other doshas are gone. But the thing is, our Puranas do tend to exaggerate a lot. The Akshayopi is one of the favorite alankaras of the classics and scriptures. So, I don't know if this really, it is a perfect statement that exact Abhijit Muhurta. And again, something that is so powerful cannot be very open-ended. It has to be very close-ended. So maybe when you do exact Abhijit Muhurta, the exact time sun is on the cusp of the 10th house, maybe plus or minus 1 second. Maybe if you do that, then the decree is perfect. You definitely be not touched by any impurity in the Muhurta. But maybe if it's a little away, still some of the impurities may still trouble you. So bottom line is, what I am trying to say is, there is no magic pill. So finally it all comes to your devotion and when the karmas have been experienced, when God wants to bless you, He will bless you. He or she will bless you. So finally, that is the bottom line. But we are trying to help the person. Definitely, instead of doing something in an Ayodhya Tara, if he does it in a better Tara, definitely it will make some difference. Still, there may be some problems because there are some other weaknesses that you did not consider. But it will at least, if you make sure that the elements that you know, the parameters that you know are pure, if you ensure that, the suffering or the drawbacks that come because of the muhurta will be alleviated to a large extent. So that is our goal. And sometimes you have to choose when there are multiple parties involved. It may not be just bride and bridegroom. It may be 5 people together starting a company. So you can't choose a good Tara for all the 5 of them. At least in the case of bride and bridegroom in marriage, you can choose a star that is good for all of them. But if 5 people want to start a company, very unlikely that you will be able to choose a good star for all of them. Everybody may have their own totally different stars. So
even if, say, on a particular day, the nakshatra wasn't good for all 5 of us, but they started it at Abhijit More, you will overrule it.
Supposed to, it is supposed to, but I am not 100% sure. And secondly, even if it is a bad Tara for one of them, if you make sure that the nakshatra lord is well placed in the chart, suppose you chose, let us say you chose Anuradha, ruled by Shani, and Anuradha is Sampat Tara for one of them, Naitham Tara for one of them, etc. But still, if the lord of Anuradha, Shani, is well placed in the chart, it may not be that bad. It may.
All the charts are just only.
No. I said in the Muhurtha chart. There is only one Muhurtha chart. In the Muhurtha chart, let us say you chose Shani as Yogakaraka. Let's say you chose Taurus Lagna, so that Shani is 9th and 10th Lord. And let's say you chose Shani in the 6th house. So let's say you chose Taurus Lagna with Shani in Libra. So his Yogakaraka exalted in the 6th house. So there is excellent Shani Bala. So if he is the Nakshatra Lord, the whole venture will get so much strength. Some of them may feel a little bit of weak because of it based on their own Tara Balam at the time of the Muhurta. But the overall strength of the chart itself, Muhurta chart itself, it will make sure that the whole venture will basically go well. It will pick up strength. So that is the other consideration. So look at, like I said, if the Vara Lord is in the 8th house, it's not good, like I said. Or like in the example I gave, if you start something on Tuesday, and if the Vara Lord Mars is 8th Lord in the 7th house, that venture is not likely to last a very long time. It will break very soon. So like that, not only Vara, look at Karna Lord's placement, look at the Nakshatra Lord's placement. If they are well placed, that is good.
So say in your chart,
Yeah.
Bharani Nakshatra, if you don't look at this chart, just look at Bharani Nakshatra, consider Saturn Nakshatra, not
What Nakshatra? Saturn's Nakshatra? Venus. No. It is ruled by Yama at the level of DB. Yama is Shani's brother. That may be why you are thinking it is Shani's Nakshatra. And also Shani likes that Nakshatra. So maybe that is.
Isn't that considered like a very
He is born in Bharani also.
strong Nakshatra, like a very...
But it is that apart. Bharani is not Shani's Nakshatra. It is Venus Nakshatra. So when you look, if somebody starts something in Bharani Nakshatra, you want to see the strength of Nakshatra Balam, then see how Venus is placed.
People have Bharani and the chart, they really prosperous. That's the thing.
What Shani?
Prosperous. They have very successful life. People with Bharani and the birth star.
Yeah. You will hear good and bad things about every star. Bottom line is, every star sees so many people born. Some very happy, some very sad. Right. You can't really conclude just based on the star. It is not really very wise.
The other thing, Amavasya is a good day to start any venture.
Yeah.
So all those things are like they came from place to place.
Yes. Some parts of India, they have that belief. But where I come from, it is considered a terrible tithi for anything. Where I come from. Yeah.
But same thing with solar eclipse. In England, solar eclipse is considered great. That's why they start of marriage on solar eclipse. solar eclipse is like the worst country, especially to get married.
Yeah. See, all these conventions change from place to place. So, I don't really have an opinion on that, but the bottom line is, Amavasya can be good for somebody. It is not necessarily...
How is that good for you?
What?
How would it be good for somebody?
If you see what tithi it is for a particular person, for somebody it may be a good tithi. See, you can see here there are special tithi. In the same menu, you can see the special tithi. In the same longitude window, click on special tithi. Okay? So now look at Dvadasi for example. Shukla Dvadasi is my karma tithi. So when I am trying to do something, as far as my karma is concerned, the tithi is Shukla Dvadasi. And just a note on how these are computed. Like all of you know, Janma tithi is computed. How is it computed? You take the distance between sun and moon. See how advanced moon is from sun. Let's say sun is here in the zodiac, in the 360 degrees, and moon is here. So you measure the angle from sun to moon, which you can do in the by looking at the longitudes and subtracting sun's longitude from moon's longitude. You know how many degrees moon has advanced from sun. For every 12 degrees it is basically 1 tithi. When they are together it is Amavasya. It is the beginning of the month. And then as moon progresses from sun, he becomes advanced by 12 degrees, 1 tithi ends. The Shukla Pratipad or Shukla Pratipada or Shukla Pajami, the tithi will end. And then the second tithi will start. When moon is more advanced than sun by exactly 24 degrees, then the second tithi, Vidya, or in Telugu we call it Vidya, so Gurukrpa of Vidya. When Vidya ends, then moon is exactly 24 degrees ahead of sun. As moon progress more and he becomes exactly 36 degrees ahead of sun, that is the end of the third tithi, known as Tritiya, or in Telugu we call it Tadiya. And then Saviti or Chaturthi or Chauth will come. Like that, based on moon's degree, you basically find this tithi. And when moon goes around and catches up with sun again, as moon is going around, sun is also moving. By the time moon catches up, sun moves by roughly 29 degrees or so. And then moon will catch up with sun again. And again, that is the end of the Purnima, Amavasya. And then the new month will start. So like this we have the 30 tithi. This is how you find the Janma tithi. Based on the sun and moon longitude at the time of birth, you find Janma tithi. In addition, there are tithi that progress with 2 times, 3 times, 4 times the speed. For example, some Dhana tithi, it progresses with twice the speed. So when moon is 6 degrees ahead of sun, that is the end of one tithi. Shukla Pratipada is over. When he goes from 6 degrees to 12 degrees advancement from sun, that is the second tithi. So like that if you find, the tithi will basically go through all the 30 tithi and start again and finish another rotation around the 30 tithi within the same lunar month. So that is Dhana tithi. If you want Bhratra tithi or the third tithi or Vikrama tithi, you progress it 3 times. So every tithi is 4 degrees instead of 12 degrees. So this is how you do it. And a simple way to find this would be, do moon minus sun, multiply it with their factors. If you want Jai tithi for example 12, if you want Bhagya tithi for example 9, so multiply with that factor, multiply moon minus sun with that factor, and then subtract any multiples of 360. When you have a number from 0 to 360 divided by 12. And then whatever quotient you get, add 1 to it. Suppose you get a quotient of 5, add 1 to it, you get 6. So that is Shashti. The 6 is Shashti, like that. So
similar to the houses, what we have.
There is a correspondence to the houses basically. There is a correspondence to houses in this tithi. And these are the vital sensitive tithis for various house matters. If you want to see the father or fortune, Bhagya tithi is very vital. If you want to see the work that the person does, Karma tithi is important. So you can see the tithi, and that for that particular activity, that tithi is very auspicious. Even though Dvadasi is usually considered a Dagdha tithi, in Telugu they say Dvadasi is Dagdha tithi, which means the punch one down tithi. It's not considered an auspicious tithi for anything. But in my case, it is my karma tithi. It is owned by Mercury. Tithis have owners. They are given here. You can see here. Shukla Dvadashi is ruled by Mercury, who is my 10th lord in my natal chart. So when I want to do something auspicious, if I want to achieve something, Dvadashi is a very good tithi for me. Of course, still many times I can't bring myself to accept it, and I still end up choosing what is usually considered an auspicious tithi. But the bottom line is, when you look at the tithis of the particular person, you can get a better sense of which tithis are good for this person. And these tithis are used for various purposes. For example, see any tithis that are towards the end or beginning, and the sandhi actually, they call tithi sandhi is when a tithi is just transitioning from one tithi to another. If you see my Kalatra tithi, for example, it is transitioning between Ditiya and Tritiya. Only 2% of Ditiya is left. So it is at the end, fag end of Ditiya. Very soon it's going to end and Tritiya is going to start. So because the tithi was on a sandhi, there is something undesirable. So when it comes to marriage, getting married, I should be careful. And especially for that, choose a very good muhurta. There are some weaknesses. So this shows weaknesses in various activities. As far as tithi is concerned, as far as the well-being and sense of prosperity is concerned. So you can see any tithis that are particularly weak. And the rule is, the tithis that are usually considered auspicious, those are good. Suppose take Bhratra tithi. If you take Bhratra tithi, it is falling in Dashami. Dashami is usually considered an auspicious tithi. So Bhratra tithi is strong, and also it is in the middle. It is in the middle. 58% is Dashami, it is in the middle. So it is very strong. So as far as brothers etc. are concerned, the relation with them, the well-being on account of brothers and what is happening to brothers is very strong. But if you see Kalatra, it is on a sandhi, like I said. It is at the end, fag end of it. But Ditiya is a good tithi. It's not an inauspicious tithi. Ditiya is a good tithi, and the next tithi, Tritiya is also a good tithi. So it is a sandhi between two auspicious tithi. So it's not, even though it's on a tithi sandhi, it's not really that bad. But let us say in somebody's chart, you find Kalatra tithi in, let's say, Amavasya. And let us say it is on tithi border. It is at the beginning of Amavasya. Then it's really terrible. There are two doshas there. One is it is Amavasya. Second is it is on a tithi sandhi. So because of it, you can conclude right away that there is some weakness relating to well-being as far as marriage is concerned, or relations with other people are concerned. So in such cases, you can advise that person to do puja on that particular day. If somebody has Kalatra tithi in Amavasya and Amavasya beginning, on Amavasya tell him to do prayer to a particular deity who shows marriage in the chart. And then that can weaken the dosha in the tithi. So,
say, what if you had 98%?
That is also bad.
That's also bad. But it's closer to that 100.
Yes. Anything close to 0 or 100 is bad. Close to 0 means it is at the fag end of the tithi. Close to 100 means it is at the very beginning of the tithi. Both are tithi sandhi.
What does this darker hat and brighter hat mean?
Oh, that is basically based on Krishna or Shukla. Shukla or Krishna. There are some tithis that fall in the darker fortnight, some tithis that fall in the brighter fortnight. If you listen to one of the old lessons, we talked about the Pakshas, so you can find it there. Anyway, so coming back to the discussion on Muhurtas, so there are, when you are choosing a Muhurta for a particular person, you can choose a tithi based on that. So Amavasya may be good for a particular person, but in general Amavasya is considered inauspicious for most people. But if you have to do something on an Amavasya, if there is no other way, you have to do it on Amavasya. If you do that, then make sure that Rahu, why Rahu? He is the Lord of Amavasya. So make sure that Rahu is well placed in the chart. The Tithi Lord. Pardon me? On that particular day. He has to be well placed in the chart. Then the dosha in the Tithi will be subsided. Otherwise, it will be terrible. If you are doing something on Amavasya with Rahu in the 8th house, there will not be any peace. whatever you are doing will give you such headache, such frustration. So at least make sure that Rahu is well placed, maybe in the 11th house or something. Then there will be some happiness.
Amavasya is also good for starting some pujas.
Yes, Amavasya is good for some tantric pujas, etc. For worshipping some deity. Suppose you want to start worshipping Kali. You want to start Kali sadhana. It's a very auspicious day. So for certain pujas, it's a very auspicious day. But in some parts of India, they believe that Amavasya is good for everything. But it may not be correct. Okay. So you try to choose a good tithi and make sure that the tithi lord is well placed in the chart. Try to choose a good nakshatra and make sure that it's a good tara for you, and make sure that its lord is well placed in the chart. So these are the basic things that you can do. And now let us take an example. Okay, the data is May 13, 1997, 12:1:30 p.m. Basically around noon time. 12:1:30. Basically almost Abdin Muhurtha. 12:1:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. The place could be Andover or Burlington. I think it's Andover. Yes, it is Andover. So the place is Andover. I was at work when I did it, etc. Andover, Mass. 71 West 8, 42 North 40. Or we can make it even more perfect. At that time I had only minutes. Software did not have seconds. You can put the correct ones now. 71 8 15, 42 North 39 40, 39 30, 42 degrees 39 minutes 30 seconds North, 71 degrees 8 minutes 15 seconds West. Andover, Massachusetts, USA. What? Yeah. So this was the Muhurtha when I started writing my book, Vedic Astrology and Integrated Approach book. I started writing this book at this Muhurtha. Yeah, lunchtime, who cares? So I chose a Muhurtha at which time I would be at office. So basically, I think I started this at office. So let us just judge this Muhurtha. And just as a background, this book I started with a lot of enthusiasm. I thought I knew a lot that I wanted to share with everybody. And after I started writing this book, I met Sanjay ji and I realized that I know nothing. And then in the first 3 years, I basically wrote like maybe 10 pages or so. And also my understanding basically went through a lot of transformation. I became more comfortable towards the beginning of 2000 that I could do justice. And then I picked up again. So sometime actually I restarted the book. I chose another good Muhurtha and restarted in 98. Again, that did not go anywhere. Maybe I wrote another 2 pages. But in 2000, April or May time frame, basically, I decided I'll finish this book. And then I left all the Yahoo groups and I just focused on this. All the evening time, I basically worked on this book. And during May second half and June, basically the book was written. And in July first half, I gave finishing touches. And in July, on Guru Purnima day, I basically wrapped up the book. So basically, I finished it basically in a 1.5 month period, but it was in the works for almost 3 years. So the Muhurta was such that I just chose whatever I could do at that time. It may or may not be a very good Muhurta, but I chose a Muhurta which resulted in long delay, but finally it got done. And also it seems like a lot of people like the book, a lot of people are finding it useful. So it is serving its purpose, but There was a lot of delay in writing the book. And let us see, let us judge, try to judge the strength of the muhurta. So, shall we start with the Varabala? Vara shows the vitality, the life force within it, the Agni. So, which Vara was it? And by the way, another thumb rule, like some tithis or nakshatras are considered auspicious, some Varas are also considered auspicious and some are considered inauspicious. Usually people believe that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are auspicious Varas for many things. Saturday, Tuesday and sometimes even Sunday are considered inauspicious. That is simply because Sun, Mars and Saturn are malefic planets, Mercury, Venus and Jupiter are benefic planets. That is the basic reason why people say that this is good Vara and this is bad Vara. You can try to pay attention to it, but in my judgment, it is less important. Mars may be the best planet for you. He may be your Lagna Lord. And when you are doing something for your health, maybe Tuesday is the best day for you. So don't go by, at least in the case of Vara, my belief is don't go by those thumb rules and make sure that it is a good Vara based on your chart. The planet who rules that Vara is a good planet in your chart, he is a benefit, functional benefit in your chart. And also ensure that the Lord of that Vara is well placed in the chart. That is more important. So if you have to do something on a Saturday, usually if you go to somebody who goes by thumb rules, they will not give you a muhurta on Saturday or Tuesday. They will say that those are bad days. But in my judgment, give it less important. It's not as important. If you can do justice to that principle also, do it. But that should be at the bottom of your list. Anyway, the Vara Lord is Mars. So how is he placed here? He is, first of all, is he a good planet or bad planet in this chart? Is he a Maraka or something? He is a Yoga Karaka. He is the 5th and 10th Lord. So, as far as the life force, the fire within is concerned, that is conducive to the 5th house and 10th house matters. What does 5th house show? Scholarship, knowledge, etc. 10th house shows karma, doing something for the society. So, as far as using the life force within me, using the fire within me, he is considered, he is being directed in the right direction. So, he is basically a good planet with good agenda. But how is he placed? Is Mars well placed? His agenda is good, but is he well placed? Is second house a good placement for Mars or bad? Just a clear and honest answer. Bad. For Mars, what are the good houses? For Mars, 3, 6, 11 are in general good houses. And even if he is in a Kendra or Kona, it's not that bad here. As Mars, it is bad. But as the Vara Lord, it is not bad. But he is in the second house. What is second house? It is the Marakasthana. Second house is the Vyaya from third house. Mars is the Karaka for third house. Third house of initiative. See, fire, when you talk about fire and vitality, the life force, we are also talking about the initiative, the energy to finish it, the drive. And we are talking about the third house. And Mars is the Karaka for it, but unfortunately he is in Vyaya from it. And that house being a house of death, Mars in the second house, Varesha in the second house, is not conducive to using the life force well. The intention may be good because Mars has good agenda, but because he is not well placed, any malefic in the second house becomes Marka. That is what Parasara said. Malefics in the second house are Marka. So he is actually a Marka. So it is even, if you have Varesha as Mars and in the second house, it is even, note the afflictions on him. He is with Mandi and Gurika. Mars is with Mandi and Gurika. So he is afflicted, he is quite afflicted. So because of that, the life force, the drive will be actually very weak. It may be almost dying. So when something is started at such a time, the fire will be basically missing. Originally there was fire, but later I thought, that was the point. I don't really have to write this book. I'm not really knowledgeable enough to write what I decided to write. So it basically got slowed down. I became lethargic. I lost the fire. So that is because the Vara Lord is not very strong. And then the next let us look at, after Vara, let us look at the, what do we want to look at? Nakshatra, okay. Nakshatra, what is the nakshatra? Ashresha. The nakshatra is Ashresha. Is it a good nakshatra for me? Anybody remembers? Without going back to my chart. What? What is my Tara? Purabhadra, Jupiter. Jupiter is Janmatara. Who is Sampattara? Saturn is Sampattara. Mercury is Vipattara. So as far as moon is concerned, this particular moon is in Vipattara. It shows danger. It is not good. As far as, and what is the importance of nakshatra? It is strength, having strength to do things, being weak, etc. So that the Lord of the strength, he is in Vipattara. Is that good or bad? Bad. It is a bad thing. Now, see some Lagna also. Yeah. Because moon shows the mind and Lagna shows the entire existence. So for something like this, this is not a medicine to get better or feel better. This is basically writing a book. So Lagna is also important. So if I look at the Navataras from Lagna, the Janma Nakshatra is Hasta. See if Ashresha is good from this or bad. Where is Ashresha? Ashresha is a Sadhana Tara. So, so this shows from Lagna, as far as strength, gaining strength is concerned, from Lagna, the nakshatra lord is, the nakshatra is a good nakshatra. But from moon it is a bad nakshatra. What would that mean? Of course, I did not look at all these things. I just chose whatever was a good muhurta, and on top of all those, I chose the Abhi muhurta. So I thought any weakness will be remedied, so I did it. So I did not look at all this analysis at that time. I did not even know the importance of various panchanga elements. I just went by thumb rules at that time. But I understood more later after I met Sanjayji. Now when I reflect on it and look back, basically it was Ashresha. So from Lagna it was a very good Tara. Moon was in a good Tara from Lagna. What is the importance of Taras from Lagna and the importance of Taras from Moon? What are your thoughts? What is Moon? What is Lagna?
On the moon, I think mentally
Moon is mind.
Oscillate means
Yeah.
you go in and out. Do it and
Yes.
oscillate.
Moon is mind.
Right.
And Lagna is intelligence. Lagna is basically the essence of your being and also your intelligence. So when you are talking about Dhishakti, etc. So in order to do what I started to do at that Muhurta time, if my intelligence has to gather something, gather strength, etc., it is willing to do that. It is very well placed to do that because this is a Sadhantara from Lagna. So because this was figured out in a Sadhantara from Lagna, this particular activity, writing this book, will result in some achievement of my intelligence. But at the mental level, there will be a lot of fluctuation, lot of vacillation. So I would feel, why did I start doing this? Can I really finish this? Why did I want to write about everything? I wanted to cover 5 dashas, I wanted to do so many things, I wanted to write about Tahika, I wanted to write about Nakshatra trances, Ashtavarga trances, so many things. Why did I embark upon this thing? Can I do it or not? Like that, at the mental level, I would feel a lot of wavering, I would feel weak, I would not feel strength. And that is because it is a Vipattara as far as mind is concerned. But it is a good Tara from Lagna, so my intelligence would basically remain firm and make sure that I gain the strength to achieve something. So that is what it shows. And on top of it, you have to see the strength of the planet who owns that nakshatra. Who owns Ashresha? Who owns Ashresha? Mercury owns Ashresha, right? For me? The deity is Sarpa. The Ashresha's deity is Sarpa, but the planet who owns is Mercury. And where is Mercury? He is in the 10th house. Is he well placed or badly placed? For Mercury, is it a good placement or bad placement? What is Mercury's agenda? You don't never say eclipse by sun. Sun doesn't like it, likes that boy. You can say burnt by sun, combust by sun. But yeah, okay. But being burnt and being eclipsed is different. Burning is put so much light that you don't see anything else. Put so much light and heat. And that's what sun does. He puts so much heat, overwhelms you with light, overwhelms you with heat. And you have to have the ability to withstand that. Whereas Rahu, he says, oh, is that light troublesome? Let's just block it. So there is a big difference between what sun does and what Rahu does. Never say eclipse about sun. You have a question? Okay. So anyway, is he really combust?
No, Mercury.
Mercury is at 6 degrees, sun is at 29 degrees. So he is far away.
No, but you were going to answer whether Mercury is good in the 10th.
Yes, yes. Is it 10th house is a good placement for Mercury? Yeah. It's one of the karakas for 10th house. Mercury is one of the karakas for karma. So Mercury in the 10th house will show doing some karma. So because he is well placed, he will give strength relating to some karma, relating to some mercurial karma. So that is, and writing is a mercurial karma. So, and also he is the third lord. Mercury is the third lord in the 10th house. Third lord in the 10th house will show his agenda is third house, communication. And what he is told to do is contribute something to the society. That is 10th house. So the one who is in charge, he is also a karaka for writing. He is like a project manager who's in charge of writing, and he is also in charge of a group that is told to write. And on top of it, he is told you are in the 10th house, so make sure that something is done for the world, for the society. So that is very auspicious. So Mercury is actually one of the better placed planets in this particular chart. Yes. For Mercury, 10th house, 8th house, certain houses are good. 11th house, 4th house, 6th house. Some houses are good for Mercury. If you see Ashtakavarga, the chapter on Ashtakavarga in my book, you will know which houses are good for Mercury from Lagna. He's from Lagna. Mercury is okay. Good but not great. It's actually fine. So, as far as Nakshatra Balam is concerned, there are some weak indications for moon, for mind, but otherwise there will be strength that will be gained, and from the point of view of gaining the strength needed to finish this project, the indications are very strong. So the Vayu Tattva is strong, Nakshatra Bala is there. Only fire is missing. If the fire is also blowing strong, then the fire, the Vayu that is pushing the fire, that is the Vayu given by the Nakshatra, that will make the fire even stronger, and the life force would have made sure that it will finish very fast. So problem is not Vayu. Vayu is there, but Agni is very weak. That is the main problem. Yeah. Yeah. Why dramatically? Changes things. We didn't even look at sun that much anyway. We just looked at Mercury so far. Oh, you are saying... Oh, I see. You are saying that it was a Tuesday, but because of the Parivartana, Mars acts as if he is in the 10th house, instead of acting as if he is in the 2nd house. Very good point. I missed it. So there is, even though the Vara Lord is badly placed, there is a Parivartana. If he is in the 10th house, again it's not a great placement, but it is a much better placement, especially for doing something for something in the society, and especially if the Nakshatra Lord and the Vara Lord are together, their yoga is good because it shows Vayu, lot of Vayu and lot of Agni. Vayu will make the Agni even brighter. So that is very good. That's a very good point. So again, when you are talking about Muhurta, how various Parivartanas or yogas are triggered, I don't really have any formula for it. In the case of natal charts, you can look at the dashas, and when the Antardasha or Dasha of those planets come, the yoga can be triggered. But here the yoga between Sun and Mars, the Parivartana yoga, that is good. So basically the fire, even though it is weak, there may be something that will happen when the Parivartana is triggered because of some transits or dashas, the fire will suddenly start burning very bright, and then it can be finished. That's a very good point. Okay. Now look at the tithi. What is the tithi? Who is the Lord of Saptami? Without scrolling it, can you tell? So if I scroll the window, everybody can tell. Anybody knows Saptami? See, it's very simple. The first is Sun, second is Moon, third is Mars, fourth is Mercury, fifth is Jupiter, sixth is Venus, seventh is Saturn, and eighth is Rahu. And then once you are done with 8, when you go to 9 again Sun, Moon, Mars, like that. That's it. But the difference is the 15th tithi. There aren't 16 tithi. So the 15th tithi has to be shared by Saturn and Rahu. So the full moon is Saturn and no moon is, new moon day is, Amavasya day is Rahu. That's it. It's a very simple table to remember. So Saptami is the 7th planet, Shani. So the Tithi Lord, Saturn, is in the 9th house. Now again, is that good or bad? Is Saptami a good Tithi or bad Tithi? In general, Saptami is considered a good Tithi. It's an auspicious Tithi for most things, and definitely for writing a book or doing something in the society. So it's an auspicious Tithi, even though it's ruled by Shani. And how is Shani placed in this chart as the Tithi Lord? He is placed in the 9th house. And does he take part in any Raj Yoga? Does Shani take part in a Raj Yoga? There is a 9th and 5th, 7th and 5th Lord being together, and also 9th and 7th Lord Parivartana. Basically, Shani is the 7th Lord, and he is with the 5th Lord, and he is involved in a Parivartana with the 9th Lord. So 7th Lord having a yoga with the 5th Lord and Parivartana with the 9th Lord. So between Shani, Guru and Ketu there are Raj Yogas. So the Tithi Lord is giving nice Raj Yogas. So Jalatattva is probably the strongest of all Tattvas because of the nice Raj Yogas given by Shani, and that too in a trine. He is in a trine. So as far as the watery element is concerned, the feeling of well-being, feeling of prosperity, the creative element. The wateriness is also the creative element. The creative element needed for writing the book. So as far as that element is concerned, there is no depth of it. And also from my experience, I know that the watery element was quite strong. It was basically the fire that was missing until the Sun Mars Parivartana triggered the fire to burn stronger. So let us look at the remaining thing. What is the remaining thing? Karna and Yoga. Now Karna, how is Karna placed? Is it a good Karna or bad Karna? The Karna is Vanija Karna. It is owned by Venus. In general, Naisargika, by Nisarga, by creation, by inherent nature, naturally, is it good or bad? What would be your guess? Without looking at Muhurtha book by Dr. Raman, would you guess Vanija to be a good Karna? Yes, usually Mercury, Jupiter, Venus owned Karnas are good. Saturn owned Karnas are bad. Vishnu Karna is bad. So these are the thumb rules. So based on the thumb rule, Vanija Karna is a good Karna. And secondly, in my chart, what is Venus agenda? Because Venus is the ruler, to see if it is a good Karna for me or not, see the agenda of Venus in my chart and in my natal chart. And what Sanjay ji teaches is, when you are looking at the Karna, Lagna is less important. The Lagna Lord is more important because you are talking about achieving something, and the Paka, the intelligence, is more important than the overall being. So see the placement from Lagna Lord, see if he is well placed or badly placed. Now, let's go to my chart. In my chart, from Pakalagna, how is Venus? My Pakalagna, my Mercury, my Lagna Lord Mercury is in Aries. So Aries is my Pakalagna in my natal chart. And from there, Venus is the 2nd and 7th Lord, and he is with Mercury basically. He is in Pakalagna itself. A benefic planet occupying Pakalagna will give intelligence, etc. So he is basically a good planet in my chart also. So Venus Karna is not only good in a natural way for everybody, but for me it is a good Karna. And on top of it, is the Lord of that Karna Venus well placed in this current chart. So there are 3 elements. Naturally, is it good or bad? For me, is it good or bad? And thirdly, is it good or bad in this chart? If all the 3 show that it is good, then that is good. That is what we want in a Muhurta. And how is Venus from the Pakalagna? Again, where is Pakalagna? It is in Cancer itself, because Moon is in Cancer. So, from Cancer, Venus is in the 11th house. Is 11th house a good, in own house. Is 11th house a good house or bad house for Venus? It's actually good for everybody. 11th house is one of the houses that is good for everybody. For example, if Venus was in 10th house, would it be good or bad? What is your guess? Is it a good placement or bad placement for Venus? Yeah. This is actually considered bad placement. Like I said, if you read the Ashtavarga chapter, see what are the houses from Lagna good for various planets, and what are the houses from Moon that are good for various planets, you will know the good and bad placement. But bottom line is 11th house is almost always a good, I think always a good placement for any planet from Lagna and also from Moon. So as far as Karna is concerned, Venus is very well placed. So something will be done. Based on this, you can conclude that something will be done in this Muhurta. When something is started in this Muhurta, even if fire is burning low, even if air is blowing very weak, even if the creative element, the Vati element is missing, still finally something will get done. Something will get done. So that is what you can conclude. Karna is really strong. And the last element, how is yoga? Vruddhi yoga. Vruddhi means growth. So from the name, can you guess that naturally, inherently, is it a good yoga or bad yoga? Vruddhi means growth. Growth is usually good. So it shows that various factors that are contributing to this effort within me, they grow, and the cooperation between them, the harmony between them, the synergy between them grows with time. And then finally that results in something getting done. So that is, in general, this is a good yoga. And in my chart, is Mercury a good planet or bad planet? He is my Lagna Lord, he is my 10th Lord, so he is a very good planet for me. What? Yeah, he is Vargottam. He is basically a good planet for me in my chart. And also here he is in the 10th house. Like we discussed, something else, I think Nakshatra was also Mercury. So Nakshatra and Yoga both are ruled by Mercury. So he is well placed. So overall, we conclude that this is a good Muhurta from the point of view of most Panchanga elements. And on top of it, Lagna is in 28 degrees and Sun is at 29 degrees. So barring 1 degree, this is Abhijit Muhurta. Sun is almost on the cusp of the 10th house, almost at the middle of the 10th house. So that blessing is there, the blessing of Sun, the blessing of Mahavishnu that comes when you start something in the Abhijit Muhurta, that blessing is there. So overall it's a good Muhurta. Only weakness is the Vada Lord placed in Margasthana. But luckily there is a Parivartana, and when the Parivartana is triggered, the fire will burn brighter. And then suddenly energy will come, and then things will be done very quickly. Will what? I am not sure what Arudhas mean in the Muhurta. They definitely mean something, but I am not knowledgeable enough to perceive the meaning of those Arudhapadas. So I am not really sure what the AI would show.
I have a question.
Yes.
Any planet from Lagna and Moon in the 11th is good?
Lagna and Moon?
Any planet
Yeah.
in the 11th
Yeah.
from Lagna or the Moon is good.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Does that include this Gurukrpa and Monday?
Yeah. It is good for them. They are strong there. They are happy there. The planet that is in the 11th is happy. Oh, I have to give certification of desire. That is the nicest thing to do. I will do. But Gulika and Mandi, when they are happy, everybody around them is unhappy. So they have a bad agenda. So if they are in the 11th house, there may be some negative results relating to 11th house. Or if there are other planets in that 11th house along with them, those planets may suffer. Okay?
All the people with movable signs.
Yeah.
11th is
11th is what? Yeah.
So when that's like
So if the 11th Lord is in the 11th house, like here, he will give the fructification of desire, but also on the way there will be some obstruction that you don't know why it is happening. So it may not be a smooth ride. There may be You may get what you desire, but see, when you are looking at any muhurta, 11th is a key house because it shows the fructification of all your desires. So if 11th house is strong, very strong, 11th lord in 11th, usually it should be done very quickly, irrespective of other factors. But because he is Badhakesha in Badhakasthana, there will be some prolongation, some struggle. And at the end of the struggle, you don't know why you have to struggle, but at the end of the struggle, it will be accomplished. But if the 11th lord is in 11th, he will safeguard the 11th house. So finally there will be accomplishment, there will be certification of desires. And now let us see the transits. Because I don't know how to see the dashas in muhurtas. So let us see the transits. Basically, let's say June 10th, 2000, that's when I wrote the book. Yeah. Y2K crisis. Yeah, it was then. Shortly after Y2K crisis. So basically, at the time when I basically wrote this book, I had this particular transit. When Jupiter was transiting in Taurus, most of the work was accomplished. Jupiter was transiting in Taurus. And when Jupiter was transiting in Pisces, I found Sanjayji. And I became his student at that time. Was it? No, actually I became his student earlier, but when Jupiter was in Pisces, I met him personally, and also that was the period when I got a lot of knowledge. And does it make sense based on here? Does it actually, does this muhurta show that I will be accepted into a parampara which will help me with this activity? Is there any chance of that? What? Yeah, you can look at Bhatrakaraka, but first look at the 9th house itself, because that is the guidance I get. Ketu shows parampara, any tradition, any lineage. So Ketu is in the 9th house, and Jupiter, because of the parivartana between Shani and Guru, Jupiter acts as though he is here. Shani acts as though he is Jupiter. So you have, because of that parivartana, you have Guru Ketu yoga in the 9th house. It shows a learned Guru from a parampara giving me guidance. So when the 9th house is strong in the muhurta, if this is muhurta for writing a book, you may get a Guru who will help you with the book eventually. And when Jupiter is transiting Pisces, there is a very good chance of that guidance coming. So it was when Jupiter was transiting in Pisces that I got so much knowledge from Sanjayji, from the parampara of Sachidananda Dasa. So that is one thing. And secondly, your point, Jupiter is Bhatrakaraka here. So because Jupiter is Bhatrakaraka and he is associated with the 9th house, again he shows some very learned astrologer coming as Guru and helping me. And when it comes to fructification of desires, let us see how was it in May. Oh yeah, Jupiter changed sign. Yes, now it makes more sense. So it was in May, sometime in May, that I think I sent a mail at the end of April, and it was in May that I got really motivated. I must finish this book. It cannot go on for a year. I will finish this book this year, I decided. And I started seriously writing around May 10th or May 15th. Basically, second half of May was the time when I wrote most of the book, the second half of May. And at that time, Jupiter and Venus, they were Jupiter, Venus and Saturn. Those planets were transiting in the 10th house. So Jupiter's transit, it activated, when he was in Pisces, it activated the 9th house of guidance, resulting in a lot of guidance coming to me that would help me in writing the book. And when Jupiter was transiting Aries, it activated that Mercury and Sun. And as you may remember that the Sun will act as though he is Mars, the Vara Lord, and Mercury is the Yoga Lord as well as Nakshatra Lord. And he is the main planet for writing. The third Lord, Karaka for third, placed in the 10th house of some activity. So the actual writing will be triggered when Jupiter is transiting over that Aries, which contains Mercury and Sun. So it was basically Jupiter's transit in Aries which made me write that book. And when he was in the 11th house, when he was in Taurus, what does Taurus show? It is the 11th house. 11th house, 10th house is doing your karma. 11th house is you are done. The certification of desire. when I write this book, what is the desire? To give the book to the publisher, to make sure that the book comes out in the market. So that is, when you say 11th house, it shows the certification of that particular desire in that muhurta. So here, the 11th house Taurus will show finishing the book, giving it to the publisher, the book being published. So it was when Jupiter was transiting in Taurus that I actually finished the book, and book went to the publisher, went to Saga Publications for being prepared for the release of the book. And I think if I don't remember wrong, it was actually released when Jupiter was still in Taurus. So basically you can see that in this case, Jupiter's transit was the key. Jupiter's transit basically triggered various things. For all you know, it may be Jupiter's transit in Aries that triggered the Sun-Mars Parivartana also. So it was Jupiter's transit. In another Muhurta, it may be Mercury-Venus transit. In another Muhurta, which is valid only for a few days, excuse me, it may be the transit of Moon that triggers various things. It is very tough to know which is the planet that will trigger. You also have to look at the natal chart to see which planet shows that particular activity. If you see my case, for example, in my D24, my chart of learning, Jupiter is in the 10th house of doing something for the society relating to knowledge. So Jupiter's transit may have been very important because of that. In somebody else's case, it may be something else. So look at, and also based on the Muhurta, you know whether this will take years or it will take months or it will take weeks, depending on how strong the fire is, the Vayu is in the chart. So when you look at a Muhurta, if you want to see what will happen after the Muhurta, if basically the Muhurta is strong and you know that it's going to happen, whatever you indicated is going to happen, look at the chances for the next few weeks or months or years. And based on that, you can conclude when important breakthroughs in that particular activity are likely to happen. Okay? As another example, let me just take my marriage. This is a muhurta chosen by my father, so let us not judge the Varabala, Tighribala, Nakshatrabala, etc. So I will just assume that he knew what was good and he did it. So I will not do all that analysis, but let me just look at the transits, etc. based on this muhurta. The data is August 1, 1993, 9:28 p.m. Indian Standard Time, Machilipatnam, India, 81 East 12, 16 North 15. Okay. Now, if we want to see when somebody is married, one of the main purposes of marriage is, what is one of the main purposes of marriage? Uphold the dharma. And another important thing, parampara. What is the parampara you are talking about in marriage? Children. So when somebody is married, getting children is a very important event, right? Pardon me?
New relationship.
Yes, the relationship between the two people, that is important, but let us focus on getting children, because when somebody is married, getting children is also a very important goal for the marriage. And let us see what are the chances based on this Muhurta chart of this marriage. What are the chances what should be the features at the time children are born? What would you expect? If you want, I can show you the Saptamsha, or I can show you the Navamsha. Which one do you want to see? Okay. Okay. Who is the fifth lord in Rasi? You want to see in the Rasi or Navamsha or Saptamsha? Pardon me? Which chart will show children in natal chart? Let us for now assume that the same classification will work in the Muhurta charts also. and let us say Navamsha will show the relationship, and let us say Saptamsha will show children. Okay? Who are the important planets here in this Saptamsha? If you expect Jupiter transiting the 5th house will give a child, etc., it won't work so in such a very simplistic way. All you can conclude, because this is just Muhurtha, this is not a natal chart. But what you can conclude is, at the time of this Muhurtha, which are the planets blessing certain things, which are the planets obstructing certain things, etc. you can see. And Saptamsha is the chart that shows the desire, the fruition of the desire, the birth of the children. And if you see this Saptamsha in this Muhurta Chakra, who are the trine lords? Trines will show the blessings. So when benefic planets activate those blessings, the blessings because of that marriage will come. The children can come. Who are the trine lords in this Saptamsha? Venus, Saturn and Mercury. Those are the 3 trine lords. And overall, do you see them placed well, or do you see strength in this Saptamsha chart? Overall, when you see this Saptamsha chart, do you see that there will be good children, etc.? The 5th house is afflicted by Mars and Ketu, and the 5th lord Shani is in the 6th house, but Jupiter is in 9th house, protecting the Lagna. He is aspecting Lagna. Again, if you start using all the principles of the natal chart, that's not really applicable here. This is not a natal chart. This is a particular Muhurta when I did something very important because something was destined based on it later. So I just chose to do a very important event which will result in some other important events like birth of children. I chose to do that particular event, getting married, at that Muhurta. So at that Muhurta, there are various godly forces and heavenly forces. That's basically all we are seeing. So, see the trines and the trine lords. Saturn is in Pisces, Mercury is in Sagittarius, and Venus is in Cancer. So these 3 houses are very important. So when there are benefit transits in those houses, you can expect there is a possibility of birth of children. These 3 houses could be very important, at least for benefit transits. Pardon me? Yeah, is it a good combination or bad combination? Yeah. It's not a good combination, but it is a very interesting combination. When Rahu is afflicting the luminary, it can show very bad things, or it can also show very good things relating to sadhana, etc. So it can also show getting some children who are into sadhana, etc. That can also be shown by Leo. But let us ignore that. Let us just focus on the fruits, the blessings of God. So when my marriage was taking place, at that Muhurta, as far as childbirth is concerned, getting children, getting progeny is concerned, the blessings of gods were situated in Sagittarius, Pisces and Cancer. So these are the houses. Now let me show you the charts of my children. My daughter was born on February 18, 1996. The exact time, etc. is relevant for this discussion. On that day, when you make the chart, you will see that Jupiter, the Putrakaraka, he is in Sagittarius, which contains the 9th lord Mercury in this chart. And Venus and Shani and Ketu, those 3 planets giving Tapasya Yoga, those are in Pisces. So basically 2 benefits. Jupiter and Venus are activating Sagittarius and Pisces. And let's see, when my son was born, my son Sriharish was born on August 21, 1998. At that time, Jupiter was in Pisces, the sign that contains Shani, the 5th house lord in this Saptamsha at the time of marriage, and Cancer contains a Grahakuta, Moon, Mercury, Venus. So many benefits are transiting the Lagna Lord Venus. So because he was born when the 5th Lord was being translated by Jupiter, and the Lagna Lord, that is the Lagna is the seed. The Lagna Lord was being translated by Moon, Mercury and Venus at that time. So because of that, basically the Vansha will grow further at such a time. So a son was born during this time. So like this, when you look at various divisional charts, and when you see the transits in the Rashi chart and correlate with those divisional charts at the time of Muhurta, you can see some good indications. So that can give you indications. If you give somebody a muhurta, and if you expect based on the muhurta that he will be a very successful politician, suppose somebody wants to go into politics and you gave a muhurta, or suppose somebody wants to start a political organization and you gave a muhurta, but things are not happening. Don't worry too much. Maybe it's not your muhurta's weakness. It's the gochara, because muhurta only decides whether good or bad happens. The exact timing is not only decided based on muhurta. It is decided based on muhurta as well as gochara that is going to follow the muhurta. So you have to look at that also. Look at suppose somebody's career, you gave a muhurta for joining a new job, and you thought he would be promoted in that job, he will reach new heights. But maybe the gochara hasn't started. So look at the dashamsa. Look at the planets who own quadrants and trines. Quadrants will show the effort of the person, and trines will show the blessings that the person will receive. See where those lords are in the dashamsa. See when Jupiter, Mercury and Venus, they are going to activate those grahas. Or maybe right now Rahu is transiting over, Rahu and Ketu are transiting over those planets. And so maybe there is some frustration. Maybe when the transit goes away, there will be relief. So apart from looking at the transits based on the natal chart, you can also look at transits based on an important muhurta like marriage or joining a job. And based on it, you can draw some conclusions. Okay? Any questions? Any questions on muhurta discussion so far? I said what? Garija Karna. It's just name of a Karna. Like Auspicious Nakshatra, Magha Nakshatra, you have Garija Karna, Vanija Karna, Vishti Karna, etc. These are names of Karna. And how many are there, how to compute them, how to find them? There are two ways. One is use Jagannatha Hora, you will know. Second is read Muhurta book by Dr. D.V. Raman. Or you can also, I don't know if I mentioned the last in that book, but eventually there will be a book that teaches them. But Muhurta may have. So it will definitely have the combination of Karnas. I don't know if it gives the lots of Karnas. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. His question was, can you see the strength of Yoga, Nakshatra, Vara, Karna, etc. in the annual Tithi chart? My answer is yes. You can definitely look at that. But the Hora Lord is like the king. And these 5 planets, 5 panchanga elements lords, they are in charge of various branches. The branch of happiness, the creative element, the branch of strength, the branch of fire, etc. So there are 5 different branches. And these lords of the panchanga elements are ruling over those different departments. And Hora Lord is the king. So in the annual Tithi chart, not only is the strength of those panchanga element lords is important, but how they are placed with respect to the king is very important. If they are placed very well with respect to the Horesha, the Hora Lord, then they will have access to the ear of the king. They can go and tell the king, what did we do this? They can whisper in the ears of the king, and they will get attention from the king. So things will be done. So look at the relationship with the Horesha. That is the key. Okay. Any other questions? What is
your second book about?
Tithi Pravesh. So recently I started again, I started focusing on Tithi Pravesh. Still it hasn't reached the full throttle. But very soon I think it will reach full throttle, and maybe another month or so that book should be done. So this book is about Tithi Pravesh. And Sanjay ji, he decided not to put any pressure on me. He said this will be a very important book, this will be your best contribution. This will be remembered long after you. No pressure. Take it easy and write.
Muhurta, when you said on 97,
Yeah.
what is the need to make the second Muhurta in 98 consistently? Because everything that you said was from 97.
Yeah. The first Muhurta is obviously the most important thing, but because the book was not progressing, only 10 pages in 1 year, I decided I need to make more progress. So for revitalization, I chose another Muhurta.
Yeah,
But if you ask me, those are less important. Those secondary and tertiary Muhurtas are less important. The original Muhurta is the most important. And because this is the first book Muhurta, this Muhurta is not only valid for writing that particular book, it may be valid for various subsequent books that I may write. So always the first job, the first muhurta, the first marriage, hopefully the only marriage. So all those muhurtas are very, very important muhurtas. So you should pay a lot of attention to those muhurtas. The definition of Abhijan Muhurta is sun in the 10th house. Yeah. Sun in the 10th house is the overall definition, and the exact definition is if Lagna is at X degrees in some sign, sun should be in the 10th house in those X degrees. If Lagna is, let's say in this case, it was in 28 degrees Cancer. So sun should be, if sun is in Aries, but let's say at the beginning of Aries, that's not really Abhijan Muhurta. It should be close to 28 degrees. As close as possible, then it is Abhijan Muhurta. That's what people say, but I suggest still worry. But if possible, choose that, but still try to do justice to other elements. See, I chose in Abhijan Muhurta, but because the Varesha is so weak, the fire was burning so weakly, it took me such a long time. Of course, for somebody else, 3 years may be a reasonable amount to write a book like that. But for me, 3 years is a very long time, because actual writing happened in 1.5 months. So for me, 2 months or 3 months is, I would consider it the right amount of time for writing a book. And 3 years is a very long time. Especially given the fact that for most of those 3 years I was not writing anything, writing the book. Basically, it shows that the fire was burning very low. And Abhijan Muhurta could not help it. So if you ask me, yes, there is a reason for everything. But if the Agni-tattva was also strong, maybe I would have written much faster. But maybe this is for good. Maybe I chose. When you choose a muhurta with certain weakness, maybe it is for a reason. But all that apart, with the current understanding of what is needed, do as much justice as you can. And on top of it, try to use as many writers as possible, like Abhijan Muhurta, etc. So that if there is any weakness that you are not sure of, it will be protected. But don't just rest in peace. This is Abhijan Muhurta. Oh, Ashtami, big deal. Oh, Naisantara, big deal. It is Abhijan Muhurta. Don't think like that. Because for all you know, for exact Abhijan Muhurta results, you may need exact second, up to second, and being exactly in a 10th house. A little away, 1 degree away, maybe you don't get the full result, maybe only partial result. So, never basically rely completely on any one factor.
I consider 3 years as a positive.
I do, I definitely do. I'm not unhappy that I delayed, because there was a reason why I delayed. My knowledge was so shallow. Even now it is shallow, but it became much better in those 3 years. Even now when I look back, I wonder, why did I write that book? Now I can write a much better book. But it has to be done. But definitely that was a much better time than 1997 when I embarked on that project. But I sincerely wanted to, I didn't really want people to say Narasimha Rao is smart, he wrote a nice book. I was genuinely not interested in that. I thought I had some good knowledge that people could use. And when that sincere desire to help people is there, when there is Sapaguna, if there are any other problems, God, the Mahalakshmi will send someone who will help you. So that is the thing. Have faith in God. Never have expectations when you are doing especially something sattvic, like studying astrology. Any rajas or tamas is a disaster. I know great people who want to do important things, but they have some expectation. If you can do things without any expectations, that will result in something that is very long lasting. So whenever even if you choose the best muhurta, perfect Abhijan Muhurta, still pray to the God. Pray to the God who is your Ishtadevata. And pray to the God who shows that particular activity. Suppose you are writing a book, see what is the third house in your chart, who is the Lord, and corresponding to the planet, choose a particular deity. And pray to that deity before you do this. Okay? Any other questions? Yes, Kiran. Yeah. Yeah. Eleventh from? Yeah. Oh, you were talking about something a few months back. Okay, go ahead. 11th from Yale, yeah. What do you mean combination? Yeah. Sun can show so many things like politics, power dealer, dealing with power basically, doctor, etc., physicist. So many things are possible based on Sun. Mercury can show a mathematician, analyst, philosopher, logician, then trader, software engineer, similar things, programmer. So there are different possibilities. Okay, so what is it? Do you have the data? Okay, bring the data in the next class. We'll see the chart.
Sometimes you just have to take the signification of the planet and say you will be more than something that indicates sun and Mercury. You cannot difficult to accurately pinpoint or you will be doing either in
Yes, especially if you are just looking at learn from Arudha Lagna, it's tough to pinpoint that. It shows his gains will come because of intelligence. Whatever he is doing, he may be doing it with intelligence and gains may be coming because of it. Or whatever he does, he may be doing with certain authority. There may be some charm and authority in the person. And that may be resulting in a lot of gains. And also, not only the Naisargika Karakattvas of Mercury and Sun, which is what I listed. You can see what houses they own in the chart. And based on that also you can judge. And apart from 11th from Arudha Lagna, you also want to see the 10th house, 2nd house, and what is the other house? 6th house, the Artha Trikona. See what are the influences, who are the ruling deities of those planets. And when you take a sum total of all those influences, then you can judge the career. So if you bring it as a puzzle to the next class, if you bring the data, we'll take that in the next class. Okay? Next session.
Can I give the data on that?
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
December 24th, 1973.
December?
24th, 1973.
Yeah.
6:55 p.m.
55?
p.m.
Yeah.
Boston, USA.
Exact Boston?
Exact Boston.
Boston, Massachusetts?
Boston, Massachusetts.
Actually, are there any other Boston?
No,
No, in US, there are several. Kentucky, Louisiana, Georgia, Indiana, okay. Okay.
Boston.
Okay, Boston, Mass. Okay, what is the name?
The name
Or initial? What?
anonymous.
Okay, Seshu Anonymous. Because you are asking and you are not anonymous. Seshu Anonymous. Okay.
The thing is, I looked at this person wanted to know about the education
Okay.
and marriage.
Is he still studying? He's 30 years, okay. So I have the right data, October 24, 1970.
December.
Yes, you said December, sorry. Yeah. Paying attention. Okay? Cancer Lagna with Gurukha and Mandi in Lagna. Shani Ketu in the 12th house. Oh my God.
So here the thing is, if I see the Rasi chart,
Yeah?
if you see the Rasi chart, the specific question is, the Kal Sarpa Yoga here, two questions. One, first thing is a Kal Sarpa Yoga. I saw that the Mercury is falling outside the boundary, so it is not resulting in that.
Okay, let's say Mercury was falling in the same half. Still, will it be called Sarpa Yoga?
That is another question. Blank houses in between, will it be or should we have consequent houses?
Okay. The planets, let's say Rahu was the first planet. And after that Mercury is coming, Sun, Moon, Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Shani, and then finally let's say it's ending in Ketu. So it is starting from Rahu and after covering all the planets it's ending in Ketu. If it ends in Ketu, what is the yoga? Kalamrita yoga. Kalamrita yoga. If it starts with Ketu and ends in Rahu, then it is Kalsarpa yoga. But in any case, you said that Mercury is outside. Where is Rahu? He is at 4 degrees in Sagittarius. Mercury is 0 degrees. So he is before Rahu. So actually Mercury is on the other side of Rahu Ketu axis. So there are planets on both sides of, if you take Rahu Ketu axis, there are planets on both sides, both halves. So there is no Kalamrita yoga, there is no yoga.
Okay. But Rahu Ketu
since they travel backwards,
Yeah.
should you consider the starting from this as a Ketu and
No.
You always take the natural.
You always take the natural order. See who's leading. That's it. Because whoever is leading, he is moving towards the other planets.
Okay.
Ketu is now moving towards all the planets, while Rahu is withdrawing from other planets. He is going away from the planets. So basically, Ketu is going to come and give his energy to various planets during the course of his motion first, before Rahu does. So because of it, it is Kalamati Yoga.
Because you said easy because starting from Rahu in any case.
Yeah. If you,
Take the natural
simple way to remember is take the natural order. So start from Rahu and ending Ketu, then Kalamati. Agre Ketu, then Kalamati. Agre Rahu, then Kalasarpa.
And in the D24,
Yeah.
the Saturn forms both Yogakarta as well as Balaka.
Saturn forms.
Saturn is both Yogakarta and Balaka.
Yeah.
Aspect in the fourth house Mercury for a
First of all, do you know that this D24 is accurate?
I don't know because I saw that it's changing in two minutes.
Yeah, it does always be like that.
2 minutes.
D24 is a higher chart.
And
Each lagna stays like that for 4 minutes. So depending on where you are in that 4-minute window, it can change within 1 minute or it can change up to 4 minutes. So you will.
unfortunately, I don't have much detail.
And here-
There's only one thing I have is
Here is 3 and 3.5 minutes. Okay.
the only big data I have on this is this person had a major hospitalization and would have almost died.
Basically, near-death experience.
That is the only
When did you say it happened?
87, 88.
Yeah. Saturn Dasha.
So that is the only thing I have to correct the chart.
Okay.
So I wasn't very sure where to do that.
Well, that may not help in learning. Education. Do you know anything about parents or education? Okay, parents can also be helpful. Parents are learning. Do you know anything about what he did? What he studied?
Currently doing biomedical engineering
Yeah.
and not completing it. Another 1 semester and he's backing out to the entire thing.
Yeah. So basically he is into some kind of engineering now. Is he doing masters or bachelors?
He's doing masters. He's a MS in this. If he completes in one and a half semester more,
Yeah.
he's literally backing out that into getting into some very traditional low paying things, which is being the pension for parents.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it has came to this.
Okay. See. Let us look at D24 Narayan Dasha. And let us start it from the fourth lord. Fourth lord is Venus. Venus is in Cancer. And out of Cancer and Capricorn is stronger. So let us start. Instead of using the default, let us start from Capricorn. The default D24 Narayan Dasha will start from the 12th lord. Because 24 is modulo, when you do modulo 12, it is 12. So it is based on the 12th house C. So it uses the 12th lord, which shows the realization. So if you want learning from the point of view of realizing oneself, then that is the Narayan Dasha. But if you are talking about biomedical engineering, etc., normal learning, normal material learning, use the 4th lord. 4th is the basic learning. So 4th lord is Venus. See where he is. He is in Cancer. So it will start either from Cancer or Capricorn. See the stronger. Of course, you can either decide yourself or just see what the software says, because it shows the stronger signs here. Out of Capricorn and Cancer, software shows Capricorn. So just choose Capricorn here. And then you will be answered, okay?
You choose Capricorn as
The starting point. Starting point, if you say use the default, we will find the 12th lord position. If you want the 4th lord position to be used in D24 Narayan Dasha, the 4th lord of Rashi chart, see where he is in the D24, take his position as Lagna, take the stronger of that and the 7th house from there, and use that as the seed. If you want to do that, you can do what I described just now. If you don't do that, if you say use the default, see where is it starting? Starting from Aquarius. Why Aquarius? It is the stronger of Leo and Aquarius. Leo contains Mercury. Mercury is the 12th lord. So this shows the overall self-realization and the entire knowledge, not just knowledge of how computer works, but knowledge of who I am. From that point of view, for getting that knowledge, how the person progresses in life. So to see that evolution of knowledge, you see that Narayan Dasha. And to see simple learning like math, physics, biomedical engineering, music, For this, you use the normal 4th house based Narayana Dasha. So in this case, it starts from Capricorn, because Cancer contains the 4th lord of astrology. Everybody clear?
This is the first time I'm hearing that this shift in the D24. We need to just stick to the study.
Well, the normal studies also will contribute to some self-realization. So it can show to some extent, but this is, according to Sanjay ji, this is more appropriate. And if you see this D24 Narayana Dasha, what is the Dasha that he's been running for the last 9 years? He's running Libra Dasha. Okay. Now, what is the study he's doing? You said masters or bachelors? He's in the masters. Do you have any idea what he did for bachelors? Okay, some kind of science. Okay. So the 4th house will show basic education, right? We discussed this earlier. And the 6th from there, which means 9th house, that will show bachelor studies. So bachelor studies is shown by Capricorn and Mars. Some kind of engineering, etc. is possible. And out of Capricorn and the surrounding 2 signs, Capricorn makes most sense. Assuming that he did a BA in some kind of science, Capricorn Mars is more likely to give some kind of scientific knowledge, especially with an Arkada from Rahu Ketu. So mostly this is correct. Mostly the D24 Lagna is accurate. Because if it moves to Aries, pardon me? Rahu and Ketu also show abstract sciences, etc. And Mars will show engineering related science. On Capricorn. From that they are in the 11th house. Okay. So if you take the Lagna instead of Taurus in Aries, we would be looking at Sagittarius instead of Capricorn. If you take this in Gemini, we would be looking at Aquarius. We haven't really done perfect study, but based on a few minutes that we want to spend on this chart, it seems reasonable that this Lagna is accurate, given that it is some kind of sciences and engineering related bachelors, science and technology related bachelors. Now, after that, the next level of study, the master's education is shown by, what is it, who shows it? 2nd house. So that is Gemini. Gemini would show the master's education. So what kind of education would that be? It is basically moon there and sun is aspecting it. And this Lord Mercury is in Leo. So the influences are those of moon, sun and Mercury. And the strongest influence is moon along with Mandi. So that is the strongest influence. Now what would that mean? Well, moon can show so many things. Moon can show some kind of nursing, medicine, etc. It can show study of life basically. So moon showing some kind of biomedical engineering is a possibility. It's not impossible. So this chart could be correct. Now you have to see the dasha to see whether the current dasha and antardasha are conducive to this or not. What is the dasha that is running right now? We said he is running Libra dasha. Is Libra conducive to these studies or not? First of all, it is a trine.
Here the Lagna starts from
Yeah. Right. That's a good point. Very good point. So the progression is from 7th house, from the 4th lord. So the results will be given by the 7th house from this. So if you take the 7th from Libra, that is Aries. So the results are given by Aries. As far as current learning is concerned, the results are given by Aries. And how is Aries and Aries lord? How is Aries from Gemini? Aries is the 11th house, it's not a bad house at all. Pardon me?
Why not considering from the Capricorn everyone to?
Because I am looking at masters. How is Libra Dasha for masters education? Had he been in bachelors now, if I want to see how is Libra Dasha for bachelors, I would see from Capricorn. So what you do is, 4th house is the Lagna, 4th house is the center of focus for basic education. 9th house is the focus for bachelor's education or education where you have some focus. And the 2nd house is the focus for very specialized education like masters. So because he is doing the specialized education now, look at the 2nd house and see if it is strong or weak. And what kind of study he will do is seen based on who are influencing that house. And whether the current dasha is favorable or not, that you see by looking at the dasha. So right now he is running Libra dasha. In Libra, the 4th lord's progression would be in Aries. The learning's progression would be in Aries, in the Libra dasha. And how is Aries from Gemini? Check Aries from Gemini to see how this dasha will be for his learning in the master's study. And it is 11th house showing gains, certification of desire, getting the degree, etc. But unfortunately, how is the Lord placed? The Lord of Aries is placed in, from Gemini, is he well placed or badly placed? He is placed in the 8th house. Is 8th house a good placement for Mars? It is one of the worst houses for Mars to be in. When Mars is in the 8th house, it shows cut off. It shows control C of that particular thing.
Even 8 from A.
Yeah, Ian?
Aries is 8 from A.
Yes, it is 8 from AL. It is 12 from Lagna. So if you want to see, forget the master's education, in general for learning, is it conducive or not? If you see that, from Lagna it is the 12th house. So because it is 12th house from Lagna, his actual learning, it is either not progressing, he is giving up learning, or it could also show learning related to 12th house matters, learning relating to moksha, etc. Those kind of learnings are possible. But again, for that there is a more appropriate dasha. But based on this dasha, the actual material learning is basically deviating towards either spiritual learning or he is giving up learning because it's 12th house from Lagna. From Arudha Lagna, it is 8th house. So for people, it appears like he is not learning, he is breaking his learning. Because Arudha Lagna is himself from the point of view of learning as far as people can see. So because this is 8th house that are running, people will see as he is not learning. But apart from all those things, whether his masters flourishes during this dasha or not, to see how the sign and the Lord are placed with respect to Gemini. And he is in the 8th house. So unfortunately, this dasha is not conducive to finishing off the master's study. During this dasha, there can be breaks, there can be even decide to cut it off, do a control C of the master's program. So all these are possible. But how is the next dasha? Vargo dasha, how is it? Vargo dasha contains Arudha Lagna, establishes, the Vargo dasha establishes his image in the world as somebody who has learned something. And it is the 5th house from Lagna, so he will actually not give up, lose interest in studies like it can happen in Aries dasha, but his mind will be focused, his intellect will be focused on learning and scholarship. So it is a very conducive dasha. From Gemini, is it a good dasha? How is compared to Gemini? What is the synergy between Gemini and Virgo? Well, they are owned by the same Mercury. Oh, you are right, absolutely, sorry. So take Pisces. So if you take Pisces, Pisces is a quadrant. And how is the Pisces Lord from Gemini? Pisces Lord is Jupiter, and Jupiter is in the 5th. He is in a trine from Gemini. He is basically blessing it. So he will give the abilities needed for that particular master's education. So this seems like a very auspicious dasha. So my expectation is there can be confusion until one more year basically, until 2006. There can be some confusion, there can be, let's say whatever has been happening can continue. But after 2006, between 2006 and 2007, it is very likely that he will finish his degree or definitely there will be positive change. That is what I would expect. Based on Tithi Pravesh. Sorry, based on Narayan Dasha. Now you can, as an exercise, you can go home and look at the Tithi Pravesh and see how is the 2006 annual Tithi Pravesh chart. That will show some kind of achievement in education. So you can try to do that.
But the basic Nakshatra when you see the 24.
Yeah, Nakshatra Dasha basically shows how he is feeling. he may not be learning, but he may be happy about it.
No, but
So what the point I wanted to finish is, Narayana Dasha is more appropriate. If you want to see how the education is progressing, whether it will progress well, whether there will be obstacles, whether it will finish or not. If you want to see those things, Narayana Dasha is more appropriate. Now, okay, your question on Nakshatra Dasha, what is your question? I am using Chaturasiti Samdasha. Instead of Muhurta Yoga. Instead of Muhurta. 10 plot in 10. Okay.
Mars forms both the Saturn in both Yogartha and Balaka in this case.
Saturn is? What Yogartha?
He's just 9th and 10th.
In the D24.
In D24.
Yeah, he is Yogartha, yes.
And he's also Balaka.
Yeah.
So Balaka aspecting the fourth lord mentally and the A being also there, it is a constant trouble to him. Who takes Yogartha who gives him some result or Balaka, or how does that?
When Yogartha also becomes Balaka, he will give both the results. Saturn will give both the results. So he will give some inexplicable worries, and at the same time he will make sure that there is enough protection, and he does what he has to do. So he will follow his dharma, he will do the karma, but on the way he will find obstruction. So Saturn will give both the results.
Is that for any planet?
Any planet. If any planet is Yogartha and also Balaka, he will give both the results. No planet will forget the Balaka result. If he is Balakesha, he will remember the Balakesha result and make sure that he will give it at some point or the other. It will be on their laundry list. And usually planets are good with their laundry list. Unlike us, they don't forget things.
Okay, one quick note.
And based on the Antardasha that is running, and based on the annual charts, based on the transits, the planet will decide, okay, I want to give this result also. This is the best time to give this. I'll give this. And then there is a good result also I want to give. But next year may be good for it. So I'll wait till next year. Like that, and there are multiple indications, depending on other factors, you can decide which one will be given when. Okay. Yes, you have a question? You.
According to the Nordic principles, right now Jupiter in the current transit it is in Virgo.
Yeah.
When it moves to Sagittarius, where Mercury is the Dharada for education, Jupiter when it is in Sagittarius. It moves to 4 more years. Yeah, 3 more years. Then it will definitely complete. It doesn't mean that time he has two chances of finishing it.
Okay. But based on the Dasha, it is likely that based on Narayana Dasha, probably 2006 December to 2007 December, that 1 year seems very, very conducive based on that. And if you look at the Nakshatra Dasha during that time, during this whole time he's been running Sun Dasha. And Sun is aspecting the second house. So there can be some Sun-Moon related master's education. So that is definitely possible. And during that period when I mentioned the education may actually finish, he will be running Sun Venus. In Sun Dasha, he will be running the Venus Antardasha. And if you look at Venus, he is basically in the 11th house from Aru Lagna, so I'm gaining the image as a learned person. He is the Lagna Lord, and he is having Argala on the second house. So his agenda is good basically. Being the Lagna Lord, he wants to give him a lot of learning. And being in the 11th house from Aru Lagna, he wants to give that person some image of somebody who is learned. So Venus has very good agenda, very important planet. And because of his Argala on the sign that shows master's education, he can definitely help him get back on track. I'm not saying he won't be back on track for another 16 months. He may be back on track before that, but those 1 year, those 12 months, they will see him finishing studies in my judgment. He will finish his studies.
How do you decide when to use the Nakshatra Dasha and when to use the Rashi Dasha?
You can use both of them all the time. Basically, this Nakshatra Dasha shows
They both will give the same result. If something has
when they are showing the same result, then you can say confidently that the result will happen. And sometimes Narayana Dasha can show something happening on the ground. But when Jyotish Dasha doesn't show it, maybe that he doesn't feel that way. Nakshatra Dasha shows the mental impressions. How you perceive what is happening to you. And Rashi Dashas will show, Narayana Dasha will show what is happening on the ground. Where is Narayana? If Narayana is in your education gets done. If Narayana is in the 8th from your education gets done. So it shows where Narayana is. And what is actually happening on the ground, what other people are doing to you, what is really happening doesn't care about what you feel. It doesn't care about your mind. It cares about where Narayana is. So Narayana Dasha is very important to see what is happening. But how your mind views that is based on this Dasha. So the fact that Venus Antardasha will run at that time, it shows that during that time, he will feel the need for learning because Venus is Lagna Lord. He will feel like learning. He will feel like being recognized as a learned person because he has Argala on the Arul Lagna and the 11th from Arul Lagna. So because of those reasons, all those things will become important to him also. And also Narayana is conducive, so it will happen. You see what I am saying? So it's not that you use only one dasha. You can use both the dashas. Of course, some people use only one dasha and give results. But you have to realize that one dasha shows what you are feeling, one dasha shows what is on the ground. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we will finish for today then. Yeah. One last one.
Not on this. The next month when I went to Mundane Chart to see Gurukrpa,
Yeah.
I wasn't quite seeing what I thought I should see.
What were you expecting to see anyway?
I was expecting to see moon in Sagittarius.
Okay. Let's see next lunar month. Let's full you mean
Annual month and
yeah, full moon here.
right.
Next monthly full moon. This is what you want to see. July 21, 7 o'clock. Yeah. So what are you expecting to see?
I was expecting to see moon in Sagittarius, but he is in Capricorn.
Yeah. What were you expecting in Sagittarius?
I was expecting him to have a link with Jupiter, being in Jupiter's house on
I see.
being on Gurukrpa.
Uh-huh.
Why is this thing that he is in this Capricorn? I mean, missing something here.
Well, you are not missing anything. Usually he is in Sagittarius. Usually. But this time he is not. Basically, the name of the month is decided based on where Sun is at the time of the conjunction of Sun and Moon. So if you look at,
What are the four
yeah, let me make a chart for July 21. Let me make actually a chart for July 26. Now, if I say the previous lunar new month, see on July 6th, Sun and Moon will conjoin in Gemini at 20 degrees 35 minutes.
Okay.
So, if Sun Moon conjunction occurs in Gemini, then at the time of full moon, Sun is still likely to be in Gemini and Moon is likely to be in Sagittarius. So, at the full moon day, Moon is likely to be either in Purvashadha or Uttarashadha, and that month is called Ashadha Purnima. But sometimes it may so happen that by the Purnima day, Sun has moved away into Cancer. Because if you see the previous full moon, monthly full moon, on July 21, Sun has just come into Cancer 4 days back. That is why Moon was in Capricorn. It was not in Sagittarius. So, the assignment of the month names is based on the new moon day. And if you expect based on the new moon day's position of Sun and Moon, when Sun and Moon conjoin, based on the Rasi they occupy, you can guess where Moon will be at the time of the full moon day. And usually it is Sagittarius. Most of the time it is Sagittarius. That is why your logic was perfect. Sagittarius is the 9th house owned by Jupiter. It is Guru Purnima. That is perfect logic. But sometimes it may not be so. Okay. Now you may think, in that case, should that be really called Guru Purnima? For deciding the Purnima, an auspicious Purnima, why don't you just look at the sign occupied by Sun and Moon on the Purnima day instead of looking at Sun and Moon sign at the time of the new moon day? That is a valid point, and it is possible that there has been some corruption in our tradition. What we are doing today may be imperfect. So keep that in mind. But let us follow the tradition as elder starters. But keep it in mind that maybe there are some corruptions. Okay. Yeah.
Two confirmations.
Still confirmation. So mostly, yeah. Okay, with that we will end for today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Oh, next weekend is a long weekend. So should we have the class or not? I don't have any plans as of now. Okay. Yeah. Okay.